The perfect pitch is effortless. The perfect pitch feels like you've been doing it your whole life. It feels like you're throwing nothing. It feels easy. Strikeouts are sexy. They just are. They're so sexy. There's nothing like a big strikeout in a game. There's nothing like it. It's a little bit of a mind game. It's a little bit of a guessing game. Pitching is a labor of love. Strikeouts are sexy, but pitching in itself is a long-term relationship. And at times things feel great and simple, and at times they don't. And once that moment that you start kind of neglecting your pitching workouts or not doing what you need to do to be successful, then it shows up on the field in front of everyone. So pitching is that thing that you have to be consistent at all the time. Later on that fall, I got approached to play softball in Japan for several teams, and I was kind of hesitant at first because, we just lost to Japan in the Olympics. I wasn't sure if I was ready for that, and it took a little bit of time for me to kind of wrap my head around it. And I said, okay, I'll give it a try just for 1 year. I'll try it for 1 year and see if I like it. If I don't like it, I don't have to go back. And I guess I liked it because I've been over there for 8 years now.
This fact that Japan is doing some really innovative things, how they're doing it is they pay their athletes like they were an employee. So they work training in the off season to be competing for what are 2 mini seasons.
So my season is kind of a little bit different. I actually come over to Japan for preseason in mid-March. I go over there and play in the National Pro Fastpitch League for the summer season. And then at the end of the NPF season, I actually go back over to Japan for the fall because they finish their season in the fall. And we're usually over there until about November. And then after that, I get winter break and a little bit of an off season, and eventually it all starts over again. Professional softball in Japan is awesome. It's like a really great place to play. They love baseball and they love softball in Japan so much, and we play all over the country there at neutral sites, and their fan support there is incredible. The largest crowd that I've probably played in front of in Japan, probably around 18,000 people, maybe 20. We get some pretty good support, especially for our championship series or for opening day. It's tough to say if it's easier to make a living in Japan or the US because there's not a lot of openings in Japan. There's not a lot of opportunities. There's a foreigner limit. There's only 2 foreigners per team. Only about 6 teams take foreigners, and they take everyone from Americans to Chinese to Canadian to Australian. When you're as tall as I am, and you're in a country where people are pretty small like Japan, you get looked at all the time, like all the time. I'll be walking down the street sometimes and people just kind of like almost break their neck, like, and they'll just kind of turn around and they're just like, wow, sugoi, how tall are you? They say it all in Japanese, and they do a lot of hand gestures, and it took a while to get used to. One thing that's really cool about the Japanese team, or my team, is that we have cheerleaders, and we have male cheerleaders too, so that's kind of fun for us. And they have drums and a band almost at every game. And then in America, our fans, they're just more a little bit loud and crazy, not as organized of cheers. Both when US fans get excited or when Japanese fans get excited, it's always fun as an athlete when the fans get engaged. We won a championship in Chicago last year, and I was fully intending on returning to Chicago and hopefully working on trying to confirm up a longer-term deal so that I could finish my career in Chicago. We were working on that, having a little bit of difficulties here and there when Connie from the Dogs called me.
So we put the team together. We were looking at pitchers. We definitely wanted a hometown flair. We needed kids from the local area. And then you go after pitchers. And so started looking through the league rosters, saw her contract was expiring, saw Kat was retiring, but I figured Kat maybe not retiring, you know, she'll get an itch maybe. And I'm just somebody that you say you can't do that, I'll probably figure out a way to do it. So it's like, we're gonna get Monica, we're gonna get Monica, we're gonna get Monica, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy. I sent her a text basically and asked her if she knew what happened with Nolan Ryan in 1979, and said that he was the first $1 million baseball athlete, and asked her who was gonna be that softball athlete.
My initial reaction was just like, whoa, that is a big statement to say. Put everything on pause for a second. I was like, there's no way she's serious. Like, there's no way.
So to negotiate a $1 million contract, I think there's probably been athletes play in the MPF and have achieved $1 million, I would guess. There's been one or two. But to really get the attention of the world, we wanted to make sure the $1 million was in the one contract. I basically got told that the $1 million was up to me to figure out how to make it. If I was going to do it in that amount of time, I had to make the $1 million contract work. I had to find the money. We have a salary cap of $150,000 for the team, which makes it incredibly challenging to give anybody any substantial money. In your contract, there's columns of these count against your salary cap and these do not. And so I didn't get approval to do what I did. I just got told that, okay, you have to make it happen. You got to make it work. So that I could make sure I got within the confines of a 6-year plan, allowing her to play for Team USA. If she can make the team, she gets to go play Team USA, and we support her, and we'll still take care of everything and leave her on the roster.
That's when I knew, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. Like, this isn't about me anymore. This isn't about me as a softball athlete anymore. This isn't about Monica. This is about the future of women's sports.
When she told me, it was, I mean, I got choked up because I watched the first pro league get started by Billie Jean King. A lot of people don't know this. And Billie Jean King was somebody that said, darn it, softball has got great skill, let's get a pro league going. In that moment when Monica said, Coach, I've got this amazing opportunity, the Scrapyard Dogs are gonna step up and provide this contract that is the first of its kind, and I'll most likely be the highest paid team sport player in the history.
I feel like if I didn't say yes, I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror.
It's a social statement because it leaks over outside of the pro league and into society, where people were hearing about a $1 million softball player because ESPN picked up that story, it made top 10.
The media attention on Monica's $1 million contract, it was on Cinco de Mayo, and we laughed like, okay, it's Cinco de Mayo, who's gonna be listening? And the world listened.
It was everywhere. People in Japan knew about it, people in Korea, and it was a whirlwind for about like 2 weeks straight.
When I first heard it, I was like, wow, this is huge for the league. That was immediately my first thought, and that was a lot of the girls on our team's first reaction. I mean, nothing had ever been like that before.
Playing in the National Pro Fastpitch League for the last, 9 years, I definitely believe that the Pro Fastpitch League will get there one day, but I didn't think that I would see it in my lifetime.
A contract like Monica's should have happened so long ago. Yeah, we've made strides, and thanks to the wonderful women that have come before us and that have fought for that moment.
Everybody thinks $1 million. In the baseball world, it's pennies. But in the women's sports world, it makes a difference and it turns heads. And We should be doing it in soccer for sure, and you know, tennis athletes make it all the time, but it's got TV following, it's got corporate backing, and $1 million at least lets them know that we're serious about what we do and we're serious about the athletes that do it.
Scrapyard Dogs will always be the first. There's only one first, and they will always be that program.
Pick me up, huh? Here we go. That away.
I'm Lauren Chamberlain. We just finished playing Scrapyard Dogs Game 1 of our series here in Kansas City. Unfortunately, failed to win. Had a good game though. Scored late. We fought back with them, stayed neck and neck with them throughout the whole game. Monica pitched a great game. So did our staff. So it was a tough loss, but that's why we have 2. So we're looking to bounce back tomorrow.
We played the Pride tonight. It started out a little rocky for us. We couldn't quite figure out the umpire zone, but once we figured that out, we started nailing it and we were unstoppable.
I think the Dogs today, we came out and we recognized that we had a lot of momentum coming into this game, and that, you know, we're competing every day. But I thought our energy level was really great at the start of the game. We kind of held it for a little bit, and then the Pride came back and got a couple just rollover ground balls and just random things that we didn't field well. And I missed a pitch or 2, and they took advantage and they came back and tied it.
Monica's awesome. She's a great competitor. Even when she has blocks in the road, she's gonna find a way to either go through them or go around them. So her being that mentally tough out there is a huge asset to her.
Just told the team at one point, I just said, hey guys, you know, I'm gonna hold him right there. That's my bad. I got you guys. Just pick me up and we'll get this ball game.
You guys feel that right there? Monica battled her freaking ass off out there. Made a good adjustment mid-game. Defense settled back down. Offense, right? Kiki, good shot right there. Don't be afraid to make the great play. Right? Good job, good win. Right? Autograph.
Nice job. Here we go. Dogs on 3. 1, 2, 3, go!
I love the game. I love the game. I love all the movies that have to do with the game. I love the scouting. I love watching the athletes and creating relationships with these women. Hey, we're going to be a part of a family, and you're not just a number and a salary. And let's become a family and build something amazing together.
It's easy as a softball person to sit back and say, oh, why isn't the Pro League doing better? And if you catch yourself saying that, first ask yourself this simple question: what are you doing on the local level to amplify the role models in college, national team, and Pro League? When we start getting our local influencers to make a full commitment to support our colleges, our pro team, and our national team, we will start seeing more stories like Monica Abbott. Monica, I believe, is just the first one.
I think that it all ties back into a contract like Monica's, the $1 million contract, and that she's finally getting what she deserves. I mean, anybody that watches the game that Monica throws knows that she's one of the, or if not the best out there. And the fact that they aren't getting the recognition that they deserve sucks. It really does.
I've got other GMs that tell me they're upset that I did that because women are starting to ask for more money, and I think they should ask for more money. And the more you perform, the more you should make. I think that there's a lot more performance incentives that we should be allowed to give, and it shouldn't count against the salary cap.
People don't realize that they have to do multiple jobs outside of the league, outside of the season, to make ends meet. They don't realize that we got players that are only making $4,000 a season, and yet they commit 12 months out of the year to train and be ready for that small window because they are in love with the game.
Why always do the same things that we've always done? What can we do better? How can we strive for greatness in another way? And that changes the game because it allows other people to start getting the wheels turning inside their heads and okay, I want to try and do this, or I would like to do that. And it creates more conversation, and it creates more opportunities out of those conversations.
Baseball buddies Aubrey Dutton and Jessica Gray.
Perfect. You guys are perfect. You guys are perfect.
I'm gonna reset and take a moment for myself to be able to enjoy everything that's happened and reflect on this past 8 months and how awesome the future of softball is.
For pro softball to become a full-time career is very simple. We've got to get corporate backing. if it doesn't have corporate backing, it can never survive. It's going to always be families of people who love it and have a passion for it and have the means to make it be there. But when we can finally get the women-owned companies out there and corporations that just believe in developing stronger women, giving back to that, I think you'll see then it take off.
Because I'll be the first one to admit regarding pay inequity is wrong. I wish I could change it tomorrow. But I want to be a person that speaks accurately and realistically. Now we can document our followers. We've got the language that's going to provide access to corporate America. Corporate America comes in and supports sport. Now we're in a position where we can have a greater, closing the gap of the pay equity issue. Boom, we get it done. That is exciting. It's coming, mark my words, it's coming. In 10 years, we're going to have such a great place to talk about regarding our national team, our pro league, and our really great amateur associations.
I have kids even now that figure out who I am. They'll see me at the ballpark and they'll say, I'm going to be the next $1 million athlete. And I'm like, that's awesome. Where do you play and what do you play? And, you know, but they just believe they can do it. And if we even start the conversation, then people can dream, and the dreaming leads to achieving.
Hopefully it opens up the door for the next $1 million athlete, or the next $5 million athlete. I truly believe that softball, that pro fast pitch, that we're on a tipping point and it's time to get involved, because don't you want to be involved when it tips over into greatness?